Hi, welcome to my channel. This is the face behind La Ruby Clothiers. Yes, my name is Bruno Bajay, creative director of La Ruby Clothiers. Now I'll be illustrating this high-low dress. Before going over to our cutting table, please subscribe to this channel, give us a thumbs up, share this video with friends. You can join our Facebook community, La Ruby Clothiers. There we have pictorial illustrations of various styles. You can follow us also on Instagram at La Ruby Clothiers, like our Facebook page, La Ruby Clothiers. Okay, for the sleeve of this dress, it's not included in this tutorial, but I'll be dropping the link below in the description, so you may want to check it out to see how I came about the sleeve. Okay, so the fabrics we'll be working with is a crepe and a polish cotton. The black fabric here is the crepe. I am not sure how many yard it is. I've used it before, and that's the remnant. Why the starred fabric, that's the polish cotton, is 1 yard. So the pattern you're seeing now is my front bodice. I've drafted it already. So my shoulder to the length of my dress is 40, including the seam allowance. Now the front is shorter, so I didn't want it long, so I did 40. Why my bust measurement is 9, so I added 2 inches. The 2 inches, 1.5 out of the 2 inches is my measurement. Why half is the sewing allowance. So what it means is that I'll be sewing 10.5, I'll be sewing 10.5 out, and then the remaining half will be my sewing allowance, because the dress is not a fitted one, so I don't need it closely fitted on my bust area. So that's why I'm sewing it. I added 1.5 and then half inch for sewing allowance. Now if you look at it, the dress is not straight from the shoulder, from the bust line to the hem is it's a little bit like an A line. It's actually an A line. So what I did is I added measurement. I added like 3 or 4 to my bust measurement, so to give me this A line. As you can see, it's not straight, it's a bit outward. Now for the hem of my dress, now for the front, now the front is 40. Why the side front, I came down 1 inch from the side front and then connected the 40 to the side front. That's the side front is 41, why the center front is 14. Why did I do this? Because the front, it's an high-low dress, so it's not meant to be straight all the way to the side. So now you can actually make yours higher. Now I just decided to use 1 inch, so you can experiment with 2 inches, as in by the side. What I mean is, if your center front is 40, so you can make your side front 42, right? Just to make it line, so you connect from the center front to the side. Why the black the crepe material now that I'm marking right now is okay. I forgot to mention that the neck width is 3, while the depth is 3 for the front. While the back, the neck width is 3 and the depth is 1, right? So for the back, now I will be using the front pattern paper to cut the back. As you can see, I didn't place it straight, I just give it a slant. I just slant the pattern paper a little, so you have a little bit of space at the center back. Now I'll be inserting a zipper, but that's not the reason why I did it. It's high low, so I just need a little bit more space. The back should be fuller than the front. So now I'll be coming down I'll be coming down 2.5. That's because that's where my fabric ends, so you can decide to come down more, but I came down 2.5. So you can see I am connecting from the side front to the center back of the dress. So you can see that's what will give me the A line. And then after doing that, now you can choose to cut your back. You can choose to add a zipper to your back. I actually did a zipper, but you can now decide on your own. It's just is yours. You can decide to just slant the back and then use bias to tape it so your head can pass through, and then fix a button behind. So it's fine, whatever you want to do, it's fine. I choose to use a zipper. Now for the front, right now we're working with the front. Now I came down from my center front neckline, I came down 2.5. You can come down 3.5 or 2.5, so I did 2.5 here. So and then I just square across and then connected it with a dotted line down to give me the shape, the shape where I'll be using the pattern, the starred fabric, that's my polish cotton. So after getting what I want, and I then use pencil to mark it out so it will be very, very clear, right? So after that, you can now connect the lines. Just make sure it's not straight. Now it's not straight. Now whatever shape you want to give it, it's fine, it's okay. Just make sure it's not equal. So you can see how it is now. It's not a square, it's not a rectangle, it's just, and it's not a triangle. So it's just, I don't know what to call the shape. So it's just a shape that I gave it based on the style we are working with, right? So you just mark it out, and then you can cut. But before cutting now, I'll be marking out my pockets, because I'll cut out my pocket from this pattern. So now I'll mark my shoulder to waist. My shoulder to waist is 18, 17 or 18. So whatever yours is fine. So from your waist, so after marking it, you just use a ruler to square across, so to guide you while cutting the pocket. So from my waist now, I will come down 3 inches, 3 inches for my pocket. So my pocket is going to start from the 3 inches, right? So it's from there I'm going to draw out my pocket. So I'll be using my hand to draw out my pocket, the way it's going to look like. Remember, the pocket, when we are cutting the pocket, we are cutting four. Now two on each side. So I will now use my hand to cut out the pocket, like I'm doing right now. You can use your free hand, or you can use a curve, whatever you want to use, but make sure it's something your hand is going to go through, and there will be not enough space. So after marking, I will then you can use a tracing wheel to trace it out, or you can cut it. So I will be cutting this out, right? I'll cut it. So we now have the center part where we'll use our polish cutting, and then the side is where we'll be using the crepe material, right? So don't forget to indicate on your patterns, both patterns, that you need to add seam allowance, so you don't forget while cutting. And also, while cutting, before you cut, remember to notch your pocket for both pattern pieces, as in the center front and the side front, because the pocket will be attached to both sides. So the notching will guide you to know where to start fixing your pocket from. So I've pinned the my pattern to my polish cotton, and what I'm doing now is I'm adding seam allowance from the up top to the side. It's actually very, very important. Please do not forget to add seam allowance. Remember, we'll be joining the center front to the side front, so your seam allowance is very, very important. So after adding your seam allowance, you can now cut. So when you cut, please don't forget to notch the side pocket, where the pocket for the center front, and you do likewise to the side front as well. So now what you are seeing right now is that I'm notching the pocket points, where the pocket is going to start and when it's going to end, on my main fabric. That's my center front fabric, right? It's very, very important. So now what I will do next is I will take out my pattern paper and then cut out the pocket bag. So now I will take out my center front pattern and then cut out the pocket bag. So now I'll be cutting out the pattern for the pocket bag, right? So I will be using my cutting material, cutting fabric, to cut out my pattern. So now I'll place the pattern of the pocket on the cutting fabric, and then pin and cut out, and then I'll add my seam allowance. Yeah, it's important. Add your seam allowance to your pocket. So we'll be sewing out the seam allowances, right? So, but remember, you're cutting 4 pieces, 2 each on each for each side. 4 pieces, very, very important. Do not forget, please. 4 pieces. So now I have placed my pattern my side front on my fabric now, and I added the seam allowance. Please don't forget to add the seam allowance. The seam allowance is the part where you'll be joining the center front to the side front, right? So you can see that my center front is still intact. So while you're cutting, you place your fabric on fold, so you can still get the upper part of your center front in place. You don't need to slash the center front, right? So after cutting, it's important you remember to notch the angle 90. That angle is very important. It will help you sew it easily. As is when you join the side, the center front to the side, it will help you sew it easily, and then it will lay very flat when you iron. So that notching is very important. So you notch both. So after notching, these are my front pattern, my center front and my side front, and then the pocket. Okay, so this is the center part. Now you can see I've pinned the pocket to this side and I did same to this. Now this is the side front. This is the side front. I also pin, remember the part we notch, so I notch both sides. So I've pinned this side on the wrong side and I've pinned. So what I'll do next is I'll join the back and the up together. So I'll be joining this part. Now what I'll do now is I'll notch this part so that I can sew it easily. And I'll do a notch here as well. Give it a tiny notch. Okay, so now I'll be sewing the pockets first before joining my pieces together. So this is so for this side I'll do same to this side as well. Okay, so after sewing, this is what you have. As you can see how flat the those angles are. That's what notching help you achieve. So for my back, I will be using a facing to conceal the neckline. So after attaching my zipper, I will now use the facing to turn it. I will do same to the front. So after joining your center front and the side front, you now use the facing to turn the neckline, right? So after joining, I went to my ironing table and I ironed out the seam lines open. You can see how neat and flat it is. So you iron the seam lines open to help you achieve a very neat look. So after ironing, this is what I have. You can see the angles very flat. That's what notching help you achieve. So now I'll be placing my front facing now. I'll use it to turn the neckline, after which I'll go to the table, I'll iron the neckline, I'll iron the back as well, and then join the shoulders for the front and the back together, and then sew down the sides half inch. Remember our seam allowance for side is half inch, so I'll sew down half inch from the waist and bust line down to the hem. So for the hem, I will just fold it once after using a serger to overlock it. So this is what we have after sewing. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. Join our Facebook group La Ruby Claudias. Thank you.